All right, sounds good.
Welcome, Mark.
Thank you.
Do you want me to time you?
Sure. I appreciate that. You don't have to do the clock. I mean, yeah, if you want to.
Yeah, I'll do the clock. It's there.
Okay.
Good. Make sure it works.
And also, you're going to do my eval.
Yes.
Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters. How's everybody doing today?
Good afternoon.
Great.
Awesome, awesome. And I will say this, that this talk that I'm going to do today is kind of that mantra I gave last week, that it's, how can I say this, it's imperfect action versus perfect inaction. So my point is, many times it's better to go ahead and give that speech you feel that is imperfect, as opposed to not giving the speech and trying to be perfect. So that's kind of my mantra for today. And how can I say this? Sometimes in life you have to, or I'll say me, tell your truth in life. And that's what it's about sometimes. Can it make people uncomfortable? Yes. But it's about your truth. And that's really what life is about. About 2 years ago, I was in Wells Fargo. I live out in the Roseville area, and I had to go to Wells Fargo to get a money order. I don't even remember what the money order is for, but I had to go get a money order. So there I am in Wells Fargo. You know how it is nowadays. You don't really have to go into the bank anymore. You know, you can just go, bleep, bleep. I mean, you don't, most of us very rarely go into the bank, and this was one of those occasions where I had to go in the bank. So I'm in line, and you know, it's like 6 people, so I'm waiting. Okay, here we go. Finally, I get up to the window, you know, and a young lady kind of looked at me, you know, she kind of had a half high, and I said, "How you doing?" You know, and she gets me my money order. She doesn't really say much to me, and she gets my money order for me. And then at the end of the transaction, she says to me this. She says, "So what brings you to Roseville, Mark?" Now, on the surface, that sounds like a very casual comment. But I'm going to ask you, if someone were to say, so what brings you to this building? What brings you to this? What would be your thought? What would that mean to you? Anybody? You walk into the bank, and they say, so what brings you to Sacramento? It's no right or wrong. It's no right or wrong. Anybody? Any thoughts on that?
You don't belong?
Thank you. Thank you. That's exactly right. And I didn't pick it up at the moment. And I said, well, I live in Roseville. That was my response. But I didn't really think about it till I left the bank. And what I realized in that moment is that that is something that, as an African American person, we deal with in the public. It is this feeling of not belonging when you enter into a restaurant or a jewelry store or a car dealership. It's like, well, what are you doing here? That's the impression I got from this young lady, nice young lady. But what are you doing here? It makes the assumption that I shouldn't be, or I'm not from Roseville. Very subtle, but I picked it up. Boom. See, that vibe in our current culture, in our current climate, is growing. That, you know, someone of color doesn't belong here, doesn't belong there. Why are you here? A few months after that, my wife and I were over at it was a store called Expo. I don't know if you ever remember this store. It was kind of like a Home Depot, kind of like an upscale Home Depot, if that makes sense. Or where the, you know, let's say you're buying, let's say a barbecue grill at Home Depot. At Expo, they had higher level or a little more expensive, you know, grill. So we just happened to say, let's go check it out. We're in there. And we ended up buying something there, you know, and my wife's in line, And I decided to kind of sit to the side. 'Cause I feel like standing in line. So my wife's, she's in line at the Expo. Beautiful store. We love the store. Don't get me wrong. We love the store. And we're in line. And my wife finally gets to the front counter of the line. You know, I'm kind of sitting. I'm watching. I mean, not watching, but I just feel like waiting in line. And but I could hear. And the conversation was pretty minimal. There was not much, you know, banter between my wife and the young lady. But the words that she was saying was that I could hear clearly was, as my wife stood there in line, she would look at the lady in line, happened to be an older white lady, behind my wife. She would say, "Ma'am, don't worry, I'll be with you in just one moment." He said, "Well," but the point is, the priority was my wife. She was the one buying. "Wait a minute, ma'am, I'll be right with you." She did it twice. And I'm looking, this doesn't make sense. Why is not the priority the person that the transaction is going through at that moment? The lady's in line, nothing she can do about that. But it made my wife feel as though she wasn't important. She wasn't important. Matter of fact, my wife was in the way of the lady behind her. Does that make sense? That was how she was made to feel. That, well, this lady is taking up my time because I could rather be helping you. It is that devaluation of people of color at times that kind of gnaws at you. Because we go in there and spend our money like anybody else would spend their money. But the conversation, sometimes, not all the time, this is not something, sometimes the conversation is different, sometimes the perception is different. That's all I have for the people. So, we can pass that.
So,
Now that in and of itself is not a problem. I would say the problem becomes when that bias we see sometimes is reflected through our law enforcement. Now, I'm not here to put down law enforcement, that's not my goal. I have members of my family in law enforcement, but there are situations that occur that don't seem quite fair. I want you to look at that list, those pictures. Things we would all do. And we would do now, summertime. Play golf, go into Starbucks, chill, mow our grass, go to the pool, hang out, barbecue. Have to, walk home at night in the rain. One of my fears, I'd say my highest fear is, one of my higher fears is having to interact with police. And I say that from the perspective that, because I don't know what perspective that police officer has. Just like I didn't know what perspective that young lady had at Wells Fargo and that young woman had at Expo. I don't know until I'm there. But the problem is with police, it could cost me my life. Because I don't know. I've seen situations where people of color run and get shot. I've seen situations where people put their hands up and get shot. So I don't know. But it does create a level of stress for me because I don't know. On this sheet, as you can see, pretty common things. Each of these scenarios or situations where people call the police on African Americans. Golfing, Starbucks, mowing the grass, in a pool, barbecuing, and walking at night. That could be dangerous. I'm not here to say you shouldn't call the police. That's not my goal, point today. But my point is just to let people know that the experiences of some members of society when the police are called are different, unfortunately. Many times if there's an officer involved shooting, mysteriously, the background of the person that was shot comes out. Well, he was a felon, he robbed. Why do we need to know that? We don't know anything about the cow. So the experiences when the police are called are different. So the point I'm trying to make today is it's just that. Know that as a person of color, when we come in contact with the police, we don't know. And we might have a different experience. Thank you. You coming back up?
What, if you
No,
back
you
in?
can come on up here.
Oh.
She just looked at
Okay, well, thank you, Mark, for that incredible talk. I felt myself tearing up while you were talking.